Ladies and gentlemen, today I want to speak directly to the hearts of women everywhere. Because every woman, no matter her age, background, or circumstance, carries within her an extraordinary strength that sometimes she forgets to recognize. We live in a world that constantly tells women who they should be, how they should look, what they should accomplish, and even how they should feel. And in the noise of all these expectations, confidence often becomes something we search for outside, when in fact it was always meant to be built from within. A confident life begins long before the world sees you. It begins in the quiet moments when you first open your eyes and decide how you will show up for yourself. A morning routine is not just a sequence of tasks. It is an emotional anchor that shapes your mindset, your energy, and the tone of your entire day. When a woman takes charge of her mornings, she naturally begins to take charge of her life. It is in these early moments that you create a space where your mind can breathe, your heart can center itself, and your inner strength can slowly awaken. Instead of rushing into the world's demands, you deliberately choose to prepare your inner world so that whatever comes your way, you face it with clarity, stability, and confidence. A powerful morning routine starts with awareness, recognizing that the first thoughts you entertain are the seeds that grow throughout your day. If your mind begins with chaos, the day will reflect chaos. But if it begins with calmness, intention, and gratitude, that emotional frequency follows you everywhere. That is why practices like deep breathing, meditation, gratitude reflections, or even gentle stretching can make such a profound difference. They remind you that before you attend to others, you must attend to yourself. Before you pour into the world, you must fill your own cup. You become more patient, more present, and more grounded simply because you gave yourself permission to start slowly, mindfully, and purposefully. A consistent morning routine also protects your confidence by reducing emotional reactivity. When your mornings are peaceful, your mind becomes steadier, which means you respond to challenges instead of reacting to them. You think clearer, you choose wiser, you feel stronger, you stop second guessing yourself because your day didn't start with panic or pressure, it started with intention. This inner stability becomes the foundation upon which confidence grows. A woman who invests even 10 minutes in her morning is telling herself that she matters, her time matters, and her well-being matters. That message alone builds a sense of worthiness that influences everything she does. And beyond the emotional and mental benefits, a morning routine becomes a symbolic commitment to yourself. Every day you repeat it, you're reinforcing that your life is yours to shape, your mood is yours to guide, your confidence is yours to cultivate. And when this becomes a daily habit, you naturally begin to carry yourself with more dignity, more self-respect, and more assurance in your own abilities. Confidence weakens the moment you hand over the responsibility of your worth to someone else. When you wait for others to validate you, praise you, or approve of you, you unknowingly give them control over your emotions. And the truth is, no one in this world understands your journey, your struggles, or your dreams the way you do. That is why self-validation is not just a habit, but a form of emotional independence. It is the ability to recognize your own value without needing external confirmation. It is the quiet inner voice that says, "I am enough," even when the world remains silent. When a woman practices daily self-validation, She builds an inner confidence that stays strong regardless of who notices her or who doesn't. Self-validation begins with consciously acknowledging your efforts instead of dismissing them. Many women accomplish so much and yet say, "It's nothing," or "anyone could have done it." But confidence grows when you appreciate your own progress, celebrate your strengths, and honor the courage behind your decision. Every day, take a moment to remind yourself of what you did well, no matter how small it may seem. This trains your mind to look at yourself with kindness rather than criticism. Over time, this simple shift helps you stop seeking approval from people who may not even understand your goals in the first place. You learn to stand tall because you finally see your own worth from within. Another part of self-validation is becoming aware of your internal dialogue. The way you speak to yourself directly affects how you show up in the world. If you constantly tell yourself that you are not good enough, smart enough, or capable enough, you will naturally shrink your confidence. But if you make it a habit to replace self-doubt with supportive, empowering words, your mindset begins to strengthen. This is not about ignoring your flaws. It is about balancing them with compassion and recognizing that growth is a journey. By validating your own emotions, whether you feel tired, hurt, excited, or hopeful, you create a safe space within yourself. You no longer judge your feelings, you understand them, and that understanding builds emotional resilience. Daily self-validation also frees you from the trap of comparison. Instead of measuring your life against someone else's highlight reel, you begin to focus on your own path, your own pace, and your own unique strengths. You become less concerned with impressing others and more committed to becoming the best version of yourself. This shift transforms the way you carry yourself, the way you make decisions, and the way you move through challenges. Because when you stop waiting for the world to approve of you, you start stepping into your life with a confidence that comes from being deeply connected to who you truly are. Boundaries are not walls, they are bridges that allow healthy relationships to flourish while protecting your emotional well-being. Many women are taught to be accommodating, to say yes even when they feel overwhelmed, to prioritize harmony even at the cost of their own peace. But the truth is, without clear boundaries, confidence slowly erodes. You begin to feel drained, taken for granted, and disconnected from your own needs. Setting boundaries is not an act of selfishness. It is an act of self-respect. It shows that you value your time, your energy, and your mental space. When a woman learns to protect her peace, she naturally becomes more grounded, more self-assured, and more confident in every part of her life. The first step in building healthy boundaries is recognizing your emotional limits. You cannot protect what you do not acknowledge. Pay attention to the moments when you feel discomfort, resentment, or exhaustion. These feelings are signals guiding you toward what needs to change. If certain conversations drain you, certain people overwhelm you, or certain responsibilities push you beyond your capacity, it is a sign that your boundaries need strengthening. Awareness itself becomes empowering because once you identify your limits, you gain clarity about what you will allow and what no longer aligns with your well-being. Communicating boundaries is the next powerful step. Many women hesitate to express their needs out of fear of disappointing others, fear of conflict, or fear of being misunderstood. But silent suffering is far more harmful than a respectful conversation. Communicating your boundaries calmly and clearly creates healthier dynamics. You begin to show others how you want to be treated, and in doing so, you teach them to value your presence more. Sometimes people will adjust, sometimes they won't, but either way, your confidence grows because you honored your truth. Boundaries reveal who respects you and who simply wants to use your kindness. When you consistently maintain boundaries, your emotional energy becomes more stable. You no longer feel pulled in multiple directions or pressured to please everyone. You become more intentional about where your energy goes and who deserves access to it. This clarity allows you to pour your time into meaningful relationships, productive habits, and personal growth instead of constantly managing chaos. You start to show up in life with more confidence because your inner world is no longer constantly disturbed by external demands. Boundaries help you preserve your peace, and peace is the foundation upon which true confidence stands. By protecting your emotional space, you create room for your strengths, your dreams, and your authentic self to rise without fear or apology. Learning is one of the greatest gifts a woman can give herself, because knowledge strengthens the mind the way exercise strengthens the body. When you choose to grow every day, you naturally build a deeper sense of confidence that no one can take away from you. Continuous learning is not limited to books or classrooms. It is the willingness to stay curious, to explore new skills, to challenge old beliefs, and to keep evolving in a world that is constantly changing. A woman who invests in her growth understands that confidence does not come from knowing everything. It comes from being committed to learning more than you knew yesterday. This mindset turns every experience, whether pleasant or challenging, into an opportunity for wisdom. The journey of personal growth begins with humility. It takes courage to admit that you don't have all the answers. But this humility becomes a doorway to strength because it allows you to remain open instead of closed, expanding instead of shrinking. Every new insight you gain becomes a tool that enhances your understanding of yourself and the world around you. Whether it's through reading, listening to mentors, attending workshops, learning a new skill, or reflecting on your past experiences, each effort contributes to building a more empowered version of yourself. With each new lesson, your confidence deepens because you realize that growth is always within your control. Another powerful part of continuous learning is stepping outside your comfort zone. Confidence grows when you choose to do things that once intimidated you. Trying something new, whether it's a hobby, a career skill, or a personal challenge, teaches you that you are capable of more than you believe. Every small step outside your comfort zone expands your abilities and diminishes your fears. Over time, this builds a natural belief in yourself because you've proven through action that you are adaptable, resourceful, and stronger than your doubts. Growth becomes a source of courage, and courage becomes a source of confidence. Continuous learning also helps you navigate life with greater clarity. When you expose your mind to new ideas, new perspectives, and new ways of thinking, your decision-making becomes sharper. You begin to understand yourself better, your values, your strengths, your boundaries, and your aspirations. This clarity reduces confusion and increases confidence in the choices you make. Instead of being influenced by the noise of the world, you become guided by your own understanding. You stop living reactively and start living intentionally, because knowledge gives you direction and purpose. As you grow mentally and emotionally, your sense of self naturally strengthens. You start to trust your intuition more and doubt yourself less. You begin to dream bigger because you know you have the ability to learn everything necessary to achieve those dreams. Continuous learning turns you into a woman who is not only confident in what she knows, but confident in her ability to grow into who she wishes to become. The people you surround yourself with shape your confidence more than you realize. Relationships are like mirrors. They reflect back to you energy, beliefs, and emotions that slowly influence your self-worth. When you choose relationships that uplift, empower, and respect you, you naturally begin to grow into a stronger and more confident version of yourself. But when you stay connected to people who criticize, belittle, or drain your spirit, your confidence quietly weakens. That is why choosing the right relationships is not just an emotional preference. It is a foundational habit for a confident life. A woman becomes more grounded and self-assured when her environment supports her growth instead of shrinking it. Healthy relationships begin with mutual respect. When someone values your feelings, listens to your thoughts, and treats your boundaries with care, they affirm your worth through their actions. This affirmation strengthens your belief in yourself because you feel seen, heard, and understood. Supportive people don't compete with you, they encourage you. They don't limit your potential, they celebrate it. They don't silence your voice, they help you express it. Having even a few such people in your life creates a nurturing emotional ecosystem where your confidence can thrive. Another major aspect of empowering relationships is emotional safety. When you feel safe to be honest, vulnerable, and imperfect, you allow yourself to grow without fear of judgment. In unhealthy relationships, you hide parts of yourself to avoid criticism or rejection, but in healthy ones, you feel free to be authentic. This authenticity strengthens your self-trust because you are not pretending or suppressing your truth. You learn to embrace who you are, flaws included, because the people around you accept you with kindness and compassion. Emotional safety becomes the soil in which self-esteem grows naturally. Choosing the right relationships also means learning to distance yourself from those who drain your peace. Not everyone deserves access to your mind or heart. Some people thrive on negativity, gossip, or manipulation, and staying close to them can slowly damage your confidence. Creating emotional distance from such individuals doesn't make you unkind. It makes you wise. Protecting your inner world allows you to invest your energy in people who contribute to your well-being rather than take away from it. You begin to realize that your emotional health matters more than maintaining connections that weaken your spirit. When your circle includes people who encourage your dreams, remind you of your strengths, and push you toward becoming your best self, your confidence expands naturally. You start believing in your abilities because those around you believe in you too. Their positivity reshapes your mindset, fuels your motivation, and strengthens your resilience. The right relationships elevate your life, helping you become a woman who stands tall, speaks boldly, and walks confidently in her truth. Gratitude and mindfulness are two habits that help a woman stay deeply connected to her inner strength. In a world that constantly pushes you to chase more, compare more, and worry more, these two practices gently pull you back into the present moment where confidence naturally lives. Gratitude shifts your focus from what is missing to what is meaningful, while mindfulness helps you stay grounded instead of getting lost in overthinking. Together, they create a mental space where peace grows, clarity strengthens, and doubt slowly dissolves. When a woman starts her day with appreciation and awareness, she begins to move through life with a calmer heart and a more confident mind. Gratitude is a powerful reminder that even in difficult seasons, there is still something valuable in your life. It teaches you to acknowledge the small victories, the simple comforts, and the quiet moments that often go unnoticed. When you regularly practice gratitude, you begin to see your own journey through kinder, gentler eyes. Instead of criticizing yourself for not being perfect, you appreciate yourself for progressing. Instead of comparing your life to someone else's, you recognize the blessings that are uniquely yours. This shift in focus strengthens your emotional resilience because you start nurturing a mindset that sees possibilities instead of problems. A grateful heart becomes a confident heart because it learns to stand strong on the foundation of what already exists rather than worrying about what is missing. Mindfulness, on the other hand, teaches you to be fully present. Most of the stress and insecurity a woman carries comes from worrying about the future or replaying the past. Mindfulness anchors you in the now, allowing you to observe your thoughts without being consumed by them. When you practice being present, you gain control over your inner dialogue. You begin to respond instead of react, to breathe before you break, and to think before you spiral. This emotional steadiness nurtures confidence because your mind is no longer dominated by fear or doubt. You begin to trust the strength within you rather than the noise around you. Over time, gratitude and mindfulness work together to create a harmonious inner world. Gratitude fills your heart with warmth, while mindfulness calms your mind with clarity. You start to see yourself not through the lens of anxiety, but through the lens of awareness and appreciation. Challenges no longer overwhelm you in the same way because your mind becomes trained to stay centered and your heart becomes trained to stay thankful. This inner harmony becomes a quiet but powerful source of confidence, reminding you that you are capable of handling whatever comes your way with grace and strength. As we come to the end of this journey together, remember that confidence is not something you wait for. It is something you build, one intentional habit at a time. These 5 habits are not grand gestures. They are simple, daily choices that shape the woman you become. A grounded morning routine, the power of self-validation, the courage to set boundaries, the commitment to keep learning, the wisdom to choose uplifting relationships, and the peace born from gratitude and mindfulness. All of these form the foundation of a life lived with strength and assurance.